The studio lights of the view burned bright, warmer than usual, as if trying to force cheer into every corner of the set. The audience buzzed with excitement. Julia Roberts was here, America's sweetheart, the woman whose laugh had sold millions of movie tickets and whose smile felt like a shared memory. Julia walked out to thunderous applause, waving with that familiar mix of grace and ease. She hugged Whoopi, exchanged pleasantries with Sunny, nodded politely at Alyssa, and finally sat down beside Joy Behar. The smiles were wide, too wide. From the control room, producers watched carefully. A Julia Roberts appearance was ratings gold, but also a risk. She rarely did daytime talk shows anymore, and when she did, it was always on her terms. Light questions, movies, family, philanthropy, no ambushes. The first few minutes flowed smoothly. They talked about her latest film, her return to dramatic roles, her life away from Hollywood. Julia joked about preferring bare feet over red carpets. The audience laughed. Joy laughed too, but her eyes lingered, calculating. Then the tone shifted. Joy leaned forward, cards in hand, tapping them lightly against the table. "So, Julia," she said casually, "you've always been very private. Almost too private, some would say." Julia smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. "I think privacy is underrated," she replied calmly. Joy chuckled. "Well, sure. But when you're as influential as you are, some people feel you owe the public clarity, especially on certain political and social issues," the audience murmured. A few clapped. Julia's posture stiffened just a bit. "I've always believed my work speaks for itself," she said carefully. "I don't think silence equals ignorance." Whoopi shifted in her chair. Sunny glanced down at her notes. This wasn't where the conversation was supposed to go. Joy pressed on. "But critics say your silence does send a message," Joy said, eyebrows raised. "Especially when younger actresses are taking strong stands. Do you worry about being seen as out of touch?" The studio felt smaller suddenly, hotter. Julia took a breath. "I worry about being honest," she said. "And honest for me means knowing when to speak and when not to." A pause. The applause was polite, hesitant. Joy smiled again, sharper this time. "But isn't that a luxury? To choose when to care publicly?" That was it. The line had been crossed, subtle but unmistakable. The cameras stayed tight on Julia's face, and for a split second, something flickered there. Surprise, then resolve. She didn't answer right away. Instead, she looked at Joy, really looked at her. "I care deeply," Julia said slowly, her voice steady but lower now. "About many things. But I don't perform my values on cue." The audience erupted in applause, louder this time. Joy laughed it off, but there was a hint of irritation. "Oh, come on," Joy said. "This isn't a performance. It's accountability." Behind the scenes, a producer whispered urgently into a headset, "Steer it back. Steer it back." Joy didn't. "Some might say," Joy continued, "that staying neutral helps the status quo. And coming from someone with your platform..." Julia raised her hand. "Joy," she interrupted, still calm, "you invited me here to talk about my work, not to put me on trial." The studio froze. Joy leaned back, eyes wide. "Well, this is a talk show," she said. "Conversation gets uncomfortable sometimes." Julia nodded. "Uncomfortable is fine. Disrespect isn't." An audible gasp rippled through the audience. Whoopi jumped in quickly. All right, let's take a breath." But Julia was already gathering her thoughts. Her hands clasped together as if holding something fragile. "I've spent 40 years in an industry that tells women to smile while being poked," she said. "I don't do that anymore." Silence. Joy opened her mouth, then closed it. The cards in her hand bent slightly. "So if this conversation is about cornering me into saying the right thing," Julia continued, "then I think we're done." The director hesitated. "Cut to commercial, stay live?" The red light was still on. Julia looked down the table. Meeting each host's eyes, Whoopi's apologetic. Sunny's conflicted, Alyssa's stunned. She stood up. The chair scraped softly against the floor, a sound that echoed far louder than it should have. Joy laughed nervously. "Wait, you're not seriously—" Julia picked up her mic, unclipped it, and placed it gently on the table. "I am," she said. The audience was dead silent now. She gave a small nod. "Thank you for having me." And then she walked off the set. Live. The moment Julia disappeared backstage, chaos erupted. Producers rushed in. Whoopi turned to the camera, professionalism snapping back into place. "Well, that was unexpected," she said carefully. "We'll be right back." The show cut to commercial. Backstage, Julia moved quickly, her assistant struggling to keep up. "Julia, wait," a producer called. "Can we talk about this?" She stopped finally and turned. "I'm happy to talk," Julia said evenly. "Just not like that." The producer nodded, flustered. "Joy didn't mean—" "I know exactly what she meant," Julia replied. "And I set a boundary." In the hallway, staff whispered. Phones buzzed. Someone had already clipped the footage. Social media was exploding. By the time The View returned from commercial, the energy had shifted completely. Whoopi addressed the audience directly. "Live television is unpredictable," she said. "We respect our guests and their boundaries." Joy sat unusually quiet, staring at her cards. Online, the narrative fractured instantly. Some praised Julia for standing her ground. Finally, a celebrity who refuses to be bullied on live TV. Others criticized her. Walking off is diva behavior. "If you can't handle questions, don't come on the show." Hashtags trended. Julia Roberts, The View, walk off. By evening, entertainment shows replayed the clip on loop, slowing down the moment Julia stood, analyzing every expression, every pause. Joy addressed it the next day. "Did I push?" she admitted. "Maybe, but that's what we do here." Julia, on the other hand, said nothing. No tweet, no statement, no apology. Just silence. And somehow, that silence said more than any rehearsed answer ever could. Because in a studio built on constant talk, the loudest moment was when someone chose to walk away.